Endgame in Last Epoch is extremely interesting and satisfying on top. Not only do you have a lot of agency and you can choose what type of content you are going to farm, but you can also choose when you want to start the content, because it is actually unlocking the second you are unlocking the end of time, which is where you are choosing your class's mastery. Now, obviously, at that point, it's really rough to fight the level 58 monsters when you are around level 15 or 20 or so. So therefore, a lot of people have come up with very fast strategies to be just barely powerful enough to clear the Monoliths of Fate, but I'm going to demonstrate these in later videos, so stay tuned or subscribe if you're interested in those. But first we will focus on how to progress the end game efficiently. For this, you will have reached a level where you can take on these level 58 monsters, and you are going to teleport here to one of these monoliths. They all have their little teleport right here, and they're always going to be available. And the first thing you are going to encounter is this little portal or monolith guy right here. When you click that, you won't have the option here to select something. It will always be the normal one. I have progressed a little bit further, that's why I have an option here, but it is going to look something similar like this. You will find this guy right here, and this is literally everything that you're going to see. You will see an option to go left or right most of the time, where going right, for example, is going to reward you FX shards, and then going left is going to reward you with runes. Now, it's extremely important to progress to Empowered Monoliths very, very quickly. You do this by progressing through the echoes very, very quickly. There is going to be a quest objective below your minimap. In this case, we need to slay enemies to locate Argolos the Blaze, which is basically coming out after you have killed a set number of enemies, and then you need to kill the mini-boss basically to finish the echo. So it's always advised to progress through the echoes as fast as you can, basically beelining to the objective itself. So you try to kill as much as possible while you are on your way to that quest objective that you can see on the bottom left here of the minimap, for example. In the current meta, it is not advisable to fill up your bonus stability bar, because right now you would be way faster just completing way more echoes, which in turn is going to reward you with way more rewards in the same time. On top of that, you are also going to get timeline stability. This stability is the bar that you see up here, and this is actually extremely important to progress the timeline itself. It's also extremely important to progress very far away from your starting point to generate more timeline stability. For example, this one gave you plus 10 to 32 if you decided to fill up the bonus stability, which again you shouldn't really be doing. But if you progress very far away, this one, for example, would already give you plus 23 timeline stability. We want to finish the timeline echoes that you can see here on the left side, the quest echoes, so to say. And you need to complete these quest echoes. They are going to be available at this checkpoint right here, then at 160 stability right here, and at 240 stability right here. These are basically the same as a normal echo, but they are more of a quest type. They won't have very good rewards, but they are a requirement to get to that last quest echo here. So you don't even have to fill the bar fully. You only have to fill the stability up until you unlock that third quest echo, which is going to be a boss. Bosses are very well designed and might be considered challenging. For some, this is going to be just a fun activity, but for some other bosses, they are actually quite rough for the average player, I would say, where you really need to have all of your build and also all of your mechanics up on par to actually be able to defeat those. So if you would want to prepare for these bosses specifically, you can do so by checking out the Maxroll guide. We have a guide up for every boss of the timelines where you can already see a lot of informations and you can prepare accordingly. I'm going to leave the link to this down in the description below. After you are done defeating the bosses, you are going to conquer that last quest echo, and on there you are going to be able to choose a blessing to and stabilize the timeline. In this case, I've chosen armor, for example, and this is going to be permanently active from then on on the character itself. After stabilizing the timeline, you can choose the next monolith that you are going to tackle. In this case, it's a very easy rule of thumb. The left side of the monoliths will always have drop-based related rewards, for example, increased ring drop rate or also increased prefix shard drop rate. And the right side will have stuff like the character power. As you can see, the armor that we've just seen here, or the freeze rate multiplier, or a crit multiplier here on the right one. So you can definitely pick and choose which type of reward you really want, and while progressing up to the very top of these monoliths. And as soon as you are up here at the last 3, they will have level 90 monsters. And these bosses are a little bit harder, especially the last ruin is going to be extremely interesting. I find the boss fight here extremely satisfying. It was just the right portion of hard versus rewarding. And after you have done this, you are going to travel here by foot. Basically, you are going to run this way and you are going to unlock the Empowered Monoliths. This makes all of the existing monoliths have level 100 area level. As you can see here, suddenly even the first one isn't only 58 anymore, it is now level 100. And this is also going to allow you to reprogress all of the monoliths, but the reward that you are going to get is going to be increased and is going to be a greater blessing. For example, this one has been a way lower roll range. For example, this was like 25 to 35, and now it actually goes from 35 to 75. This also obviously works for your character power and is tremendously going to increase that. For example, the crit multi here is a normal one, and if you get lucky and you get shown the empowered one of the crit multi here after defeating the Black Sun boss, you will have a much stronger blessing for your character. But transitioning in the empowered monoliths is actually going to be really rough, because you are going to have something called corruption, and you will always have a minimum of 100, which you can also see here in the top left. And this is actually going to give the enemies a modifier of 60% more health and damage. So you definitely have to prioritize the defenses here if you haven't already. And then again, you are going to reprogress all of the monoliths, unlocking way better blessings than before, and you can actually rerun those to target the ones that you aren't happy with, or if you are happy with them, you can go again for a chance to increase the roll range. So for example, if you are not really happy with one of your monoliths blessings, for example, let's say you weren't be happy with the 24 crit multi, you could just rerun it until you get lucky enough to get offered another crit multi, and then you also need to be lucky enough for that one to roll higher than the one that you previously had. But you will always also get the option to keep the current blessing that you have, so you can't lose a good one if you decide to rerun your Monoliths of Fate over and over again. A great thing about Empowered Monoliths is that after you have unlocked those, all of the timelines that you are going for, you can instantly go for the boss without the need to do the previous 2 quest echoes. In this case, they've become optional and are now hidden, and you don't need to do those anymore, and you can go straight to the boss whenever you have the required stability to do so. And if you progress the web very far away from a starting point, you are also going to encounter these echoes of a world that will have one single boss, which is the Shade of Oribus, that has a random set of attacks that are chosen from a pool, always randomly. And if you decide to defeat the boss, you're going to completely reset the full web, and you're going to gain corruption, which is going to increase the monster health and damage, but also the amount of rewards in terms of items or currency or the XP. Unfortunately, my level 86 hardcore solo self-found character ripped because I did a dum-dum, and I am now trying all the other different builds that are available to us in Last Epoch. If you want to come check that out, I suggest you check out the Twitch link down in the description and also in the pinned comment below. And if you like content similar to this, make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and I'll see you next time.